So welcome to Hacking Business Technology. My hair is a lot shorter. Farad, you must have changed where your desk is. It's so much brighter where you are right now.
I angled it this way today so I could, I don't know, it's the shorter days. The sun is here.
You look so good. The sun just looks really good on you.
Okay, what about me?
Mark, you're so cute.
You're radiating.
Mm.
This glow.
Hello, everyone.
So today we've got a topic again. I'm really proud of us. This is good. I think this is a good change because already it's easier for me to just understand what, like, mentally to prepare for our episode about performance management, but then also to, like, read relevant stuff or look into what my company is doing for it.
That might help. Yes, so we're talking about performance reviews, performance management, performance in general.
Oh, see, but you can't make that distinction because performance reviews and performance management, right? They're different things.
Yes.
Oh, they are.
One is just to collect data, and the other one has an objective. So what, like, when you guys think about performance management, what do you think?
I think about performance reviews.
I think about capacity. Just kidding. Bad IT joke.
Wait, we are talking about like the HR aspect, right? Not service performance.
Well, and shouldn't it maybe be both?
Oh my god. You're just a boatload of controversy.
Right? Don't you think that if you are personally responsible for the performance of a service, that you can use service metrics to determine your performance, whether it be revenue-based?
Well, that would be why maybe just the ratings don't matter. It's what you do.
And if I'm half robot, which process is going to determine how I'm doing?
So that's what it comes down to, basically, is how automated is what you do, or how directly, objectively quantifiable is your job.
Yes. So that's, for me, the key. Data is the key. And that's
or it's not the key.
Or it's not the key.
Or you basically want to be measuring the right thing. So, for instance, employees at McDonald's have the ability to control the quality of service, the quality of food, the quality of part of the experience, right? Like, they can't repave the driveway or the parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
They probably don't have the power to replace the intercom system. So if you're measuring things objectively as a whole for, like, customer experience, it's really tough to hold specific people accountable unless you go higher up in the organization.
Well, they also have the ability to at least improve the value chain. I mean, what they do affects what other people do. So that's something. I mean, if you're causing disruption, then you're affecting employees as well. If you're doing a good job, you're making other people's job easier.
Well, that's going back to the notion of, like, there's peer reviews, there's customer reviews, right? And here's the thing, even at McDonald's right now, you can't really screw up the quality of the fries, not unless you have those, like, they have those fancy automated fry makers that pour the fries and do the salt and fry them for the fries. So now it is truly experience and speed, you know, with regards to how quickly can you take my order, do you take my order accurately, right? And then do you review with a smile?
I think, I don't know, what I always come back to on these sort of things is I always think about feedback loops, and you need to, like, just focus on the right loop.
Assuming there is loop.
Assuming there is a loop, and if there isn't a loop, maybe there needs to be one. So, like, for instance, I'm in the service industry, and so it's pretty simple, like, when you're billable, and anyone who's billable or has been billable probably realizes this or has at some point. Someone's keeping track of your effective billable rate, whether it's you or your boss, and they're saying, well, we're paying him, you know, 2,080 hours a year. This is his salary. How many of those 2,080 hours are we getting paid money from a client for?
Mm-hmm.
And I think is a bad way of looking at it, right?
Oh, yeah.
If
I don't
if
know.
I can work 1 hour and justify my entire salary just by finding $4 million in somebody's budget, does
Oh,
that
gosh.
mean that I should have to waste 2,079 hours to meet your metric?
But I love it when that happens, right? Whenever I do something and I save the company tons of money or I save a bunch of people time, I just feel so good and I think, okay, now I can totally relax for like at least a week.
But no, but there's merit to that. Like I'm seeing a lot of companies with contracts now. Even the consultants are saying, well, how about this? You give our fees are going to be 20% of what we save you. That
Mm.
actually ends up becoming a lot more profitable, by the way, right?
Yeah.
So there's that notion. And I mean, even with, but I like where you were going with feedback loops, and so it's whether it's breaking news or not, I don't know, but I'm going to tell you anyway because I love you all, which is that KPMG is ditching performance reviews and ratings. So how that's going to work, I don't know yet. As a performance management leader myself and have a team that I manage, I'm going to be finding out a whole bunch of info. But what I thought was fascinating is they just went and announced it. And in the announcement, they said, we just want to know what your initial reaction is, so here's how you contact us. Like, it was kind of cool.
And what was your initial reaction?
That was sweet. I was like, this is really good. Because
That
here's
was
the
awesome.
thing. The distributed, I mean, we had this WhatsApp chat with our little project crew, and everyone was like, this is so cool. Like, it was just shocking, right? Like,
Hmm.
but what I found interesting is we're not the first firm to do so. Like, Accenture ditched it long ago. So there's quite a few big firms that have gone away with, even I think Microsoft, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, what are you clinging to there? What are you hoping to get out of that
Well,
change?
so here's what I'm hoping to get out of, right? Like, so right now, when I look at traditional performance reviews and ratings, let's be honest, there's 150,000 employees. My performance leader is probably somebody who has never actually worked with me on a project, one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Number two, there is nowhere in our current process where the output of what I do or what I'm saving my client by finding efficiencies for them or doing something really cool for them, none of that ever gets factored in,
Or
right?
tracked?
And then with that whole process of having a P&L that you may have never met or meet only virtually or what have you, once in a blue moon, it's kind of like you get a text like, congrats, your rating was a 2. You did great work. That is meaningless. How do I grow? How do I improve? If I had, someone who could, give me constant coaching or more feedback more often or something tangible that I could attach myself to, I might be more motivated to do something different or new or grow. And I feel that is much more valuable than me working to a number. Yep, I met my utilization target. Yep, I billed everything I was supposed to. Yep, I kept my expenses in control. What the heck does that mean?
So it sounds like you're hoping for a more meaningful feedback experience.
Absolutely. And that's what I'm definitely hoping for. So it's going to be interesting to see how they, because I think the danger of doing all this is people might perceive things to be, okay, now it's all loosey-goosey. How am I going to get promoted or get my merit increase, or on what merit will they judge me on?
Yeah.
So I think it's a cultural shift, really.
Trust is a funny thing.
Mm-hmm.
What I would like to do is compare it to the other way, going the other way. Let's say
Yeah.
that we're putting in performance management. What does a company usually look like before you put in performance management?
Well, I think that one of the things I look at the most is what systems govern this and what systems kind of keep this on track, performance management in general. I mean, whether it's an actual technological system or a tightly managed process, there's a way to make sure that things go the way they're supposed to. And I think advanced companies usually have something like that. But if you look at advanced companies, even if, just throwing a number out there, even if that's 50% of companies, the other 50% I feel like do it very, very badly. You're lucky to get a review. You're lucky to get any feedback on a regular basis. So that's why I feel like systems are so important. There's got to be accountability built into whatever policies or rules that you think are as important to you as an organization. So I'm a little nervous about just the idea of giving up performance reviews with nothing to offer in its place.
Fair point, but I also think now in the industry or the times that we're in, as an individual, I have to build my constituent. Regardless, even with all these systems in place, ever since I actually was at Emory, I developed a personal scorecard. Here's my report card that says, here's what I did in my 4 quadrants. And I took the initiative of building my constituent, building people who understand what I do and can root for me, and to demonstrate results that were beyond just, I had utilization. Here's what I contributed to learning and development, to practice management, to building my peers, to, and I think what this makes us do is leaves a little bit on the employee to start saying, sell yourself, right? And sell what you've done and be responsible for showcasing what you've done. That being said, you're absolutely right. It's going to be interesting to see now what unfolds in the next few weeks in terms of how they're planning to put a system in place, because I'm sure there has to be some form of control. We're a friggin' audit company.
Yeah.
Right? So.
Well, yeah, exactly.
I think with something like that, though, you're taking responsibility and accountability for the future of the company and yourself as a product, which is good. It's good to be self-interested, but you're not getting the long-term benefits of it, right? Like, perhaps you're not, rewarded for your extra work in promoting the company or promoting yourself or promoting your services. Whereas someone else may be. And I think, like, the people that have that je ne sais quoi, that drive to make everything better, need some sort of incentive beyond just being paid. They need to know that there's more in it for them.
Well, I mean...
Just hit it on the head, though. Sorry, can you just say that last sentence again?
What's in it for them?
Yeah, but more than just being paid.
No, it has to be personal value beyond monetary.
Listen to them. Try initiatives. Let them fail. Give them opportunities. Give them a career path.
Yeah. That's a different issue, though, than performance management in general. I mean, you would hope that that would become part of why you're valued as an employee. Those things and how you embrace them, and that keeps you there as well. A balance of monetary and some other type of value.
Well, it goes back to why we do it in the first place. Why are companies so interested in performance management? Either because they want to make sure that they're getting the best productivity out of their employees, their way to assess, right? So once you understand that why, the how is, does it always have to be just by giving them a rating, right? And I think that's just the traditional mindset, that I have to measure something, therefore my measurement equals a result.
Well, yeah. But it does. I mean, so many of the problems that we've gotten into today with equality and fairness, the pay gap, gender, all that stuff, is because of things being able to be secret and not data-driven and not based on a rating that is comparable. So I caution against ditching that, because it could make things worse. Now, of course, there are plenty of companies who get rid of performance reviews in favor of continuous 360 review or something like that. That's a great way, but that's still rating. Okay, Baron's saying thumbs down. Tell us about your thumbs down.
It's usually all peer-driven, which is a bad idea because it may be the wrong loop. You just are getting the wrong people involved in the loop. The thing is it always comes back to that customer loop. Listening to the outcomes, the objectives of your business, and how you directly influence them. If you don't understand that well by this point, I don't think that you probably don't even have a job then. If you can't explain, if you don't have, when I was on the service desk, back in my day, we get old man Baron, old man Baron's back on. I would save any positive email every positive voicemail, every positive experience I possibly could, because I knew that when review time came around, I was going to try to push someone's button, whether it was a salary or more PTO or something. Something's got to be in it for me.
But so you're doing the work there. You're collecting the value that you provide by getting feedback and having a folder that you bring up during your review, right?
Yeah, but I think when you think about the trust factor, if you've got a culture built on trust already, like Zappos, let's take Zappos for example. What do you think that they do for performance reviews?
Oh, it's got to be continuous, I imagine. So at any time you could see whatever your rating is based on feedback loops from circles and all that stuff.
How many times does this person have conflict in their teams?
Right.
How many teams do they change per month? Those sort of things that you see patterns develop in people that are poor performers, whether it be how they work with other people or how other people work with them. But I still think it always comes down to trust, because a company that doesn't trust its employees is going to want objective measures to justify reducing costs, to justify, and usually, costs are the people. That's usually the first thing. They're expensive. Robots aren't.
This may be a little dated, but according to Google, Zappos also got rid of their performance appraisal process and replaced it with measuring success determined by how well employees embody their 10 core values. So, wow service, showing humility, a value system where managers document how many times they notice an employee exhibiting certain behaviors, such as expressing their personality or acting humble.
It's still a rating. It's just compiled through data, right? All these data points. Some of them subjective, some of them built into objective through enough subjective input, right? I love that idea. I think that's awesome. But it's, I mean, your review is the process that you live within that feedback kind of matrixed environment.
The gap is that most companies don't have those values actually documented.
Right, yeah.
Or if they do, no one knows them. I remember when I used to teach the ITIL courses back in the day. I can't do the voice as good as you, but when I used to teach ITIL courses, in service strategy specifically, I would always open with, all right, tell me your company's mission and how what you do in your role connects to it. And almost every single time, nobody even knew the mission statement.
Yeah. And what you're talking about there with Zappos is it's actively happening to the employees through a system that everyone's expected to adhere to, right? It's not like what you were saying, Baron, where you had to collect it yourself and then present it. No, I mean, I was in an IT meeting recently at Emory, and someone asked the CIO, how do you expect to do better retaining employees? And he said, well, I hope it's a balance between pay and the value that Emory provides, right? The value that Emory is making in the community, the social change, all these things. And I thought to myself, okay, that's great, except that, again, like you were saying, Baron, I'm forced to collect that myself for the most part. I've got to go around and find those points of value. It's not being passed down to me in an effective way. So I would guess if you went around to a lot of employees and said, do you know what this project is actually doing in the world? They wouldn't know for the most part. And I hope to make a change there. But I mean, if I got a text with a picture of a patient that had just gone through cancer therapy every time I finished a project, I would be much more likely to stay than I would be to go.
And to understand the values of your culture, because it would be ingrained in the very work you are doing. Boom!
Boom.
Resurrect Mark's TFT presentation where he has outcomes in the CMDB.
It's so freaking hard to do, though. I mean, again, it has to be system-driven. That's what I keep going back to. And I don't have the time to build a system. An overarching, massive, outcome-based social network.
Well, then don't build a whole system.
Why do you have to build it by yourself, Peter?
Yeah, and start with minimum viable product. Just track it for one specific thing. I mean, that's what I do when I'm doing the personal collection. It's still just a practice. It's like this lesson in futility of trust. Like there's this fear cycle you go through where you're like, oh, I need to keep track of this, and if I don't, I'm going to get fired.
No, you're right.
You lose track of it.
That's the only way to get traction, is to spend individual time getting individual examples by calling someone on the phone or whatever, and then plugging it in where people can see it and having them do the same thing until it's happening enough places that someone says, hey, why don't we build a system? Right?
Yep. And then Oracle sweeps in, and they're like, boom! Babushka!
Yes!
Dude, I heard a great story yesterday. I had a great story, and this will really resonate with you guys. Someone that I know personally. They're not a client of ours. I've never worked with them professionally, even, except for on a board. She goes, well, we had a tool selection, so, we had this checklist of things that we needed it to do and a list of requirements, and they came in and did the demo, and we did the selection. And then we went and took everything out of box, and nothing met the requirements that we used in the tool selection. We just took it out of box because we couldn't afford the requirements that we had built into the tool selection.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. There is just not enough sharing going on in this industry. And I look at something like that and I think, why are we even talking about performance management? We are not ready for this conversation yet. Right? The industry itself is not ready for a conversation about performance management. We still, the bar is so low on what we are able to accomplish, technically speaking.
What if you flip that upside down, Baron? What if you say, when people always ask, what process should I start first when I implement ITIL or whatever, right?
That process, just saying.
Why don't we say performance management?
Well, and if you do, you should definitely manage the performance of your performance management system, because if you're not watching that, you'll lose sight of your actual objective, which is customer satisfaction or revenue generation. And those, I would argue, are the only two goals you can ever have in a capitalist economy. Boom!
Yeah.
So go back and measure it. Make sure your performance management system is measuring that. And if it's not, or if it's measuring something else that you think is wrong, make sure that you set up other things.
Well, and experiment, right? Because performance management is not just about measuring, it's about measuring and managing. So if what you're measuring is not leading to a decision or something that allows you to influence something, then just...
You know what would be great is a shadow IT implemented performance management system. That would be awesome. Something that was grassroots that people could just start participating in to show their company what's actually going on. That would be fun. Sorry.
I would just start it on a whiteboard somewhere in the middle of the hallway.
Transparency.
And at one point, we'll call the platform Guillotine. And whoever doesn't sign up by a specific date, kaboom! Everyone else is fired. You didn't sign up. You don't care enough about your performance to sign up and track your own stuff. What is wrong with you?
Are you talking about like a secret corporate mandated shadow IT performance management system with guillotine at the end?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. It's CIA style leadership.
That's literal hacking.
And that's how you do it.
No CIO would ever take the risk.
No.
All right. Thanks for hacking this week, guys. We'll see you next week.
Bye, everybody.